Welcome to the Everyday Comfort Podcast, where we help homeowners make smart decisions and save money, and guide contractors on building trust, growing their business, and delivering real value. Let's dive into the show.
Hi, I'm Anthony Mound, your host of Everyday Comfort, the podcast built to serve homeowners and home service contractors. Whether you're a contractor looking to grow your business or a homeowner hoping to avoid costly surprises, we dive into real stories, practical tips, and smart strategies to help you succeed and stay comfortable every day. This episode is brought to you by Trust One, your reliable plumbing and HVAC contractor in Quincy, Massachusetts. Our goal is to provide premier customer service that instills our customers with trust, confidence, and a unique experience. Trust One strives to be the most recommended heating, cooling, and plumbing company in the South Shore. To learn more about us and get in touch, visit trustoneservices.com. Today I had Chad Franzen here of Rise 25, who has done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs and CEOs, and we have flipped the script, and he'll be interviewing me today. Hey, Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much, Anthony. Great to talk to you again. I'm looking forward to kind of diving into the Trust One membership plan. Can you kind of break down what that plan includes and how it works for homeowners?
Yeah, so we have two plans. We have the Trust One Cares and we have the Trust One Cares Plus. So the Trust One Cares, it includes a plumbing inspection, priority scheduling over non-service plan members. It includes priority, like I said, priority service, 10% discount on all service. So anything that we do as far as plumbing, heating, and cooling, besides replacements, this counts towards repairs. There's a 10% discount. We waive any service fee. Generally, it's $79 for us to come to the home. That membership waives the service fee, and then you get a $250 replacement coupon towards a new system. This membership is $99 annually. We don't do that one monthly. It kind of pays for itself if you have to use us for plumbing or air conditioning or even heating, even if you have us out more than once. Usually the first visit pays for itself. The next one is Trust One Cares Plus. That's $400 for the year or $37.50 monthly. You save some money if you pay for it up front for the year. So that one includes everything I just stated: the plumbing inspection, priority service, 10% discount on all services, waived service fees, replacement coupon, which is $500 on this one versus the $250 before. The difference between this and the other one is the maintenance. So we do a heating, cooling maintenance as well as a descale on like a tankless water heater or a combination boiler. Obviously, if you have a heating and cooling system, it wouldn't include the descale as well, but you can kind of pick and choose which ones you want. We have a lot of customers that have tankless water heaters and boilers, and they always want to descale. So we decided to include that in our membership.
You know, I'm not that bright. Can you tell me what descale means?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I should have explained that better. So descale is you hook up two hoses to your tankless water heater, and you can put either we use a chemical, but you could put vinegar in a bucket, and then you flush through your system, and then it removes any scale or buildup or sediment or anything that builds up in the inside of the unit. So you run that for about 20 to 30 minutes. That should be done once a year. And so that allows the system to work better. It keeps the flow through the tubes and through the pipes of the system. That keeps the system efficient and running properly.
Okay, sounds good. What kind of motivated Trust One and Trust One to introduce a membership plan in the first place?
So we want customers, obviously, if you think about Costco or BJ's or any of the membership plans out there, obviously you want to incentivize your customers to keep using you for future service, and you want them to save money doing so. You know, a lot of customers sometimes may use us and they're like, oh, we might not need you for a long time. Membership might not be worth it until their plumbing breaks. And then they're like, oh man, I've had you out here 5 times, you know? And so having the membership alone will save you just on service fees. If you paid 5 service fees, the $99 membership pays for itself. It waives those service fees for us to come out. So it saves the customer money, kind of gets the customer to keep calling us because it is a commitment. And then, yeah, that's really it.
What would you say is you waive you save on service fees? What would you say is maybe the biggest value proposition though of the membership plan to a typical homeowner?
Definitely the priority scheduling. We get a really high demand with customers, depending on busy seasons as well. We're a pretty steady, busy company all year round, but summertime it's absolutely crazy. And so you get priority scheduling, especially when something breaks, whether it's heating, cooling, or plumbing, it's usually pretty urgent. So having that priority schedule and that priority service really helps us get out there quicker. And then the next thing would be saving money, for sure.
And maybe you mentioned this. Do members have an option in terms of monthly versus annual payment?
On our bigger plan, the annual is usually 399, or you could do 3750 a month. You
Okay,
pay a little bit more when you do monthly, but it's easier to digest the 3750 versus
sure,
400.
sure. What what specific maintenance services are included and how often?
Yeah, so sometimes people will do checkups. These are actual full maintenances. So not like when we do a checkup, we generally run through a checklist. We check all the safeties, we turn the thing on, we make sure it's running properly. But with a tune-up, we're actually cleaning the system. On a boiler, we'll go through and we'll do the descale. We'll check all the screens. So there's usually like a water screen, heating screen, and then like an air intake screen. We'll clean all of those. We'll check all the components. If you have a magnet on the system, we'll, take that magnet apart. We'll take all the magnetites out of the magnet. We'll clean the system. If it's like a steam boiler, we'll flush it out. We'll clean what is called the pigtail, which is a safety device. If it gets full of mud over time, it can clog up and cause you not to have heat. So we clean that out. We flush the steam boiler for you. With air conditioning, we clean the outdoor unit. We take it apart. We put a chemical on it unless the manufacturer says we shouldn't. And then we just rinse it down with water and clean the outside of it so that it can run properly and save energy. Because if not, if they're clogged up, they're not going to work properly and then cause you to have increased utility bills. For furnaces, we clean out the condensate drains. We clean out the burners because if the burners are not clear, you could have issues with the flame. You could have weird smells. So we clean the inside of the cabinets. We'll clean the condensation drains. We run through our checklist, check all the safeties. We kind of clean the system there.
You mentioned priority scheduling is a big benefit.
hmm
Is emergency support also offered?
So we don't offer 24-hour service because, we want our employees to be home with their families.
Hmm.
And we know that's important to get out to you really, really quickly and be effective when we do. We have a lot of next day service appointments. So, if someone does have an issue at 8 o'clock at night, we generally can get out the next day. So we don't offer 24-hour service, but we do get out there really quickly.
Are there discounts on repairs or parts offered for members, or is that something else?
Yep, so that's 10% off. We have a 10% off discount on all repairs. And if you have, depending on the membership, the regular one, the $99 one gets you a $250 coupon towards a replacement, and then the bigger membership gets you a $500 replacement coupon towards a replacement system.
If I were to join and become a member, is it my responsibility to make sure that I have you guys come out, or do you help me stay on top of that?
We generally call you. If you buy a membership, we'll call you and book the appointment. Sometimes we can't get a hold of everyone for some odd reason, but we do consistently call to try to get the appointments booked.
Do you have maybe like a example or a real life example or story where a membership plan helped prevent a major issue or save the customer money?
Yeah, it definitely helps because customers generally forget to do maintenance or they forget to kind of take care of their system. Like we had a lady we went to today and we were talking about we're going out there for a quote for a new system. And we're like, oh, like what type of system are you looking for? And she's like, well, what about one of those high efficient units? And then we're like, well, how long do you plan on living in the home? And she's like, I plan on living there forever. And like, this is the first time she's actually like looked at our boiler, and it's been 30 years. And we're like, well, if you have a system like that that's worked for 30 years, why would you want a high efficient one? You're gonna have to like have us come out every year and do maintenance. She's like, I guess you have a good point. So the point I'm trying to make is most customers don't realize like what's going on with their system. They just see the thermostat in the wall, and if it comes on, it comes on. If it goes off, it goes off. And
Hmm.
then generally that's when they call someone. So having the membership plan really and like make sure that we're consistent in our maintain like maintenance of the system, and we're continuously coming out there and checking everything and letting you know if there's an issue or a potential issue.
Sounds good. What feedback have you heard from customers about the plan?
They like it. It's like your dentist. When you go out to the dentist and you get a cleaning, and then they call you again, and you go out and you get another cleaning, and then they look at the like condition of your teeth. It's the same thing with the heating system. If you don't take care of your teeth are gonna rot out. Well, if you don't take care of your heating system is gonna fail. So it's just keeping a consistent maintenance schedule, and so they like the consistency of it.
What challenges have you faced, maybe for you as a business and getting homeowners to see the long-term value of a membership?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier in this episode, sometimes customers are like, I haven't had a plumber in years," and they call us one time and they're like, "Yeah, I probably won't have an issue for a long time. I won't need to call you again." And then like they keep having issues, and sometimes it takes like 3 or 4 visits for like, "Hey, you should probably buy a membership. You probably would have saved thousands of dollars by now." You know?
Hmm.
Like, so getting them to understand the value of it up front, and then the commitment for it too is sometimes a hard time for customers to make that commitment.
Do you try to like educate customers on the difference between regular service calls and the value of a membership plan?
Yeah, we even track it as a metric in our company. Like our technicians like offering it. We try to at least get, 30% of our customers on a membership plan, just to continuously keep calling us. And so that's a metric we track. We literally have goals that we set monthly to hit membership targets because it's an important metric to keep customers. And it's also a metric that we look at because if someone's willing to join a membership, that means we did a good job for them. Like people keep going to like a store because they like the perks of the store and they enjoy going to that store. It's the same thing with us. Like that's one way for us to gauge whether we're doing a good job or not.
So I don't live in your area, but I'm a member with a company out here in Colorado. And
hmm
often I dread having them come out here because I just know that they're going to find something that I'm going to end up having to pay like $500 for. Have you found customers that have that attitude? And what is the problem with that attitude?
yeah, I'd be lying if we said we didn't run into that. Yeah.
Hmm.
And sometimes customers get really mad about it. But like, I want to, this might take a minute or two to
Hmm.
get come across. But, one analogy I heard the other day, you know, like the trades have a bad connotation when it comes to like sales and being salesy and pushing things on people, maybe because homeowners been taken advantage of over time. Like one thing like I want to point out is when you go to the vet, right? When you first call for an appointment for a vet, they're like, "Oh, what's your dog's name or what's your cat's name?" And then you go there and they're all friendly with the cat. And then you go into the vet's office and they're like, and then they set the expectations. "Hey, I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna check everything, I'm gonna provide you with some options." And then they run a bunch of tests and then they provide you with options for the cat or the dog. And then you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna do either this or that." Right? And then they go ahead and do it. And then they say, "All right, and I'll come back next year for this and that." It's the same thing with HVAC. Like we look at it a different way, but it's a sales process and it's a customer service process. We're just doing the same thing as HVAC. We're not trying to take advantage of anybody, but we're trying to let them know, "Hey, you might have an issue. We're trying to prevent that issue." And so that's one way of doing it. Like people don't think twice about going to the doctor or going to the vet or thinking that they're trying to get something extra from them. And it's sad that we've got that kind of connotation when it comes to, contractors. And that's not what we portray here at Trust One. And so we try to live the same philosophy that just inform customers, let them make a decision. So it's your right to choose whether you want to do something or not. We don't force anybody to do anything. So as far as like my opinion, I think it would be better for me to know, and then, hey, if I don't make a decision or I don't act on it, and then the thing fails down the road, it's better for me to know, hey, I at least tried. Like, I at least know that I have an issue
Hmm.
versus like when it's 14 degrees outside and I have no heat and I'm trying to get someone out to fix it.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I like. Because if you know about it too, you can save $500. Like you can save up that money. You have time to save up that money to have that repair done. They're going to warranty it. If they're a good company, they're going to stand behind their diagnosis if they're a good company. So that would be my thought process on that. I don't know how you feel about that, Chad.
No, yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. It's always better to have knowledge and be prepared. When you go to get your oil changed, they recommend maybe multiple services. You don't have to take them, but at least at least you're aware it's an issue, and maybe you can do it next time or something like that.
Yeah, like I consider like sales is like you're trying to shove something down someone's throat, you know.
Hmm.
But like if you think about the word sales, I don't care who you are or where you live or anything, you always have to sell something. Like if you have a wife, you had to convince your wife to marry you, right? Like
Hmm.
that was some kind of sales, you know, like so if
It's a
you have a
day-to-day
job,
process.
literally for the rest of your life, you will be convincing your wife to stay with you. So it's the same thing when it comes to your boss. Like I always have to continuously work hard so that my boss is like sees the value as me as an employee. You know, so it's the same thing with everything you do in your life, regardless of no matter what. My philosophy as a company is I wake up every day unemployed until a customer decides to hire me.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good way to keep yourself going.
Yep. So,
Hey, Anthony, always great to talk to you. Thanks so much
yep.
for having me today.
Yep. Thanks, Chad. Always a
So long,
pleasure.
everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Everyday Comfort Podcast. We'll see you again next time. And be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.